Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back again, this time for another primary, the Colorado primary. Um, so today, this is mainly for Democrats. They have a lot of big races on the docket. Um, I figured I could probably get through these before too many results come up, which is why I'm starting this stream 10 minutes later than I normally would. Um, but once again, Colorado is not the best state when it comes to counting their votes, so I'm expecting a bit of a sh- slower stream where we'll be reacting to the results as they come. Um, there's a few headliner races. I'll go over what Republicans have. They have the governor primary, which seems like it's Barbara Kirkmeyer, who's a state senator, who was the nominee for Colorado's 8th in 2022. Blew an easy win, but she's running against Victor Marx, who has bragged about killing a man, um, and has said he can't prohibit the possibility that he killed more than one. So Marx is very funny, but he would lose the state in a landslide and jeopardize all four GOP incumbent representatives. Like, I'm not even kidding. He would have such a negative effect at 7 years old. Um, it would have such a negative effect that I could see all 8 seats in Colorado potentially voting Democrat. They would, at least 7 out of the 8 would vote Democrat for governor. There's a good chance that you could see the fourth district um, get close enough that Boebert could be in danger of losing. So it'd be funny, but Kirkmeyer wouldn't win. She would get the race somewhat close. Alongside that, Republicans have a somewhat competitive primary for Colorado's third. This is a rematch of 2022. Jeff Hurd, who's not the most liked amongst the MAGA base, will be fighting against Ron Hanks, a former state representative. I thought he was a state senator, who he beat in 2024. This could be closer than expected. I would assume Hurd wins easily, though. Back when Trump endorsed against him, one, it wasn't for Ron Hanks, and two, that was a while ago. So wouldn't expect much to come of that. But Democrats have a much bigger night tonight, and we're seeing if Democrats can capitalize off of the progressive wave that might have begun just a week ago in New York. Governor definitely is the most competitive race. Senator Michael Bennet is running against another statewide elected official, Phil Weiser, the Attorney General, who's viewed as more progressive. Bennet was a shoe-in for this, but he kind of fell apart at the end. I would say Weiser is the favorite for this. He'll probably win by 5 points ish. I wouldn't be shocked to see Bennett win, though. He is a senator who just 4 years ago, was up for the entirety of Colorado. He's been relatively established. He's been there since I think 2009. But he's never been the strongest candidate, especially in primaries. U.S. Senate, Julie Gonzalez, a state senator from Denver, is taking on Hickenlooper, who's running for a second term. He promised not to run for this term, but evidently he felt that he specifically needed to face the next general election. So Julie Gonzalez could put up a pretty good fight, against nominal opposition. Hickenlooper only got like 58% in 2020. But it would have to be a pretty good night for progressives to see Hickenlooper go down. I don't think so. I think he wins by 10-ish points. Attorney General, I know nothing about, so if you guys want to talk about that, you're free to. And for House, you have the first district. Diana DeJet goes in as the disfavorite to hold her seat. Melek Kuros seems like the favorite to win it. DeJet's not like Bible thumping conservative. She's an open progressive. It's just Kuros is endorsed by Justice Democrats and is much more progressive. So, uh, yeah, she'll be primaried out very likely. So that's kind of funny. There's a race for the third district, which, like, who really cares? I mean, I don't think there'll be a difference between the two candidates in the general election. In the 8th district, A moderate and progressive are fighting. Rutinel seems like the prohibitive favorite, but this could be somewhat close. And even though the seat is very likely, heavily Hispanic will revert, very likely to flip Democrat in the general election. Rutinel would be the most likely to blunder it. But anyways, now we have. We're expecting the first vote soon. I don't know how long it takes to get votes in Colorado. I'm not sure how quickly they report. I mean, I assume some rural county has to report. Gabe Evans is cooked. Yeah, he barely won the seat. Yes, it was against an incumbent, but it was based off the Hispanic wave for Trump. That's just it's fleeting at this point. Like, there is definitely going to be Hispanic reversion, so I don't really see him as competitive. I would worry much more about the third district, because if you make it out of the election, you've only lost the eighth, you kept the third, that's fine. But if you lose the third as Republicans, you have no path to the House. And if you get blown out by enough in these statewide elections, there's a serious chance that you lose the third. And they've called the uncontested races. Another thing also I found interesting is that District 6, which, mind you, last time we had a Trump midterm, the predecessor to this was held by a Republican, is not contested, which I just found absolutely pathetic. That you couldn't even find a candidate to contest a suburban district. It's blue. It wouldn't flip in any scenario, but, this is not like inner city Detroit that you're failing to field a candidate for. That's another thing. Even if it's not going to be that blue of a year, Republicans just drop the ball with so many of their candidate fieldings nationally. Like, there are Harris plus 5 state legislative seats that aren't contested. Obviously, New Mexico, the GOP was inches away from not even fielding a Senate candidate. It's just pathetic. If Victor Marx is the nominee, I would vote Democrat. I wouldn't, especially if it's Weiser. He's a little bit loony, but I certainly couldn't blame you for that. And Marx is likely to win the primary. Another thing is that a lot of the independents that swayed the 2022 primary in Colorado towards the more moderate candidates, and even 2024, ended up pulling Democrat ballots because they have the more interesting primaries. Like an incumbent senator who has a realistic shot at losing is much more interesting than Victor Marx or Barbara Kirkmeyer, who's the bigger sacrificial lamb. Even in 2024, there were interesting primaries for the 3rd and 5th and 4th and 8th for Republicans. But there's just really nothing this year for Republicans. All 4 incumbent representatives are running for re-election. They're all seeking re-election. Trying to find the Colorado primary for Senate. Here we go. This was the primary in 2020. Andrew Romanoff was the, I think, former state house speaker, which isn't that high of a position. And Romanoff, he won one county, but he got pretty close in Denver. He didn't even do that bad in suburbia. It was mainly the rural areas. It's sad because New York Times now does shade by winning margins in primaries, which I love, but they didn't before. It would be expected that a lot of Hispanic areas would favor Julie Gonzalez more. And we actually have our first results. Denver has dropped its first votes. Expect these to shift more against the moderate candidates, and is very close for Senate. And Phil Weiser is looking like he's going to blow Hickenlooper out of the water. He's up by 30 there, which is fucking insane. That is insanity. And then Kirkmeyer is up in Denver. I mean, obviously she has to win in a place like Denver. Let's wait for some suburbia, but that's pretty good. Now, Congress, Melik Kuros is up. The later votes should break more for her. She's very heavily favored here. But the Jet isn't doing terrible. And we have more votes out of here. Teller County, which is rural, Bennett is winning 55-45. To put that in perspective, that same county won 66-34 in the 2020 primary. And for Senate, it is breaking 68-32. So that's actually more more for Hickenlooper than it was in his first bid for office. That's definitely a bad sign for Julie Gonzalez. She really shouldn't be receding. Victor Marx is up there by a lot. I think what you're going to see. What's the website I'm using with the black background? This is DDHQ votes. Just look up DDHQ. It is it's the best they have. Yeah, we got Teller. And like, it's not that big of a margin for Marks, but if he puts up this performance throughout the rest of the state, like, it's going to be a pretty bad night for Kirkmeyer. She should gain in Weld. She should gain in Larimer. This is where her district is. Yeah, Hickenlooper's doing good. Hickenlooper probably is heavily favored at this. Firstly, it was he got 53% in Denver last time around compared to 59% statewide. And secondly, this is where Julie Gonzalez's state Senate district is. This is absolutely pathetic for Bennett. He can come back from it, of course, but it's just a pathetic performance. And giving Weiser a 30,000 vote plurality there, like, where are you going to make that up? Are you going to make that up in suburbia? Maybe. But you're going to have to run up pretty monster margins in those places. And then, like, the rest of the state is going to be rural. I expect Denver to be one of the better areas for Weiser. I mean, the problem is, it's pretty good for him. He's got a long way to fall from 65% of the vote. Like, that's a pretty dominant performance there. And we have more votes in. And, yeah, Bennett is gaining out of the rest of the state. Out of Jackson, that's not horrible. Like, it is close to her Senate district, but that's not a terrible performance for Kirkmeyer. I'm thinking we see a competitive race here. Jackson County, Hickenlooper got 73%. He got 65% last time. So generally, and it's early, but generally, I think we can say that Hickenlooper he got 62% there in Weld County last time. He got 59%. It does look like generally Hickenlooper is doing a little bit worse in Denver and the surrounding areas. Not bad enough to lose, mind you. Gonzalez almost definitely needs to win Denver and win it by quite a bit. It is her home county and it is very progressive to win statewide, but she's doing okay. Also waiting. Weld County 51-49 for governor. That's not great. Kirkmeyer wins Broomfield, another suburban area. That was expected. And she's winning rural counties. That's the thing. If you can beat Marks in some of the rural counties, you've got a shot. I don't see this as a guarantee for Victor Marks, as many people thought going in. Yeah. And out of the Senate primary, this is just, these are just less than stellar results for Julie Gonzalez. She's facing an incumbent senator, to be fair. But these are just not great results. Dolores County was a 6-point margin in 2020. It's 30 points this time. It's all around very poor. We got votes out of the third. And Hurd isn't doing great. 2024 Colorado primary, New York Times. I'm curious to see this. Okay, so Hurd won by 13% statewide district-wide last time. Rio Blanco, which he's getting 70% in this time, he won by 30. So he's winning by a little bit more than 40. Dolores County, he won by 6 this time. Dolores, last time he won by 16. So he could be seeing some recession for Hurd. This definitely seems like he's going to be putting up a poor performance. And on the Democrat side, we don't know. None of the big blue population centers. But the thing is, Hanks' side of the congressional district is Pueblo and the surrounding areas. If he begins to win places like that, we have to have a conversation about this race. Bennett is picking it up a little bit in the rural area. He lost Broomfield. Um, that's a poor. That's not good. Out of the Senate primary, Broomfield was 55-45. It was 56-44 last time around. Hickenlooper is almost certain to survive this challenge. He's meeting or outpacing where he was in his last primary. And yeah, Barbara, Delta County is the first bad one for her because that's a big county and that's putting up a big margin. But like, she blew the doors off in Weld. She's doing very well in the eastern portion of the state. Like, you would expect Marks would win this area by a lot. Something. Oh, Douglas County came. That's not terrible. That's not terrible. It's nothing to be especially proud of. It is a very suburban county, but there are rural areas in it. It's not horrible. Hickenlooper, Douglas County, 62-38. And last time around it was 64-35. So he's receding in some of these places, but it's not enough. The baseline of comparing this is to that 2020 primary. He won this thing by 18 points or 17 and change. You can't just be meeting that. And the fact is, yeah, he's winning every county. Denver, very narrowly, but he's still winning there. And Phil Weiser's winning Douglas County. I mean, it's just, there's a problem there. And the problem is, if he's winning Douglas, if he's winning Broomfield, if he's getting close in Weld, do you really see Bennett winning Adams and Arapahoe? Arapahoe and Jefferson. And if he loses all three of those, where is he going to make up votes? Because there are Democrats in the rural areas. There's not that much. Kirkmeyer not doing that bad. She's breaking into some of these rural areas. That's how you win the primary. Let's check up on the 3rd district. Oh, yeah, the 1st district we have results in. Hurd is up by a lot here. Castilla County is a 30-point margin. Last time around, it was a 10-point margin. So it does look like Dolores County is the exception, not the rule. Marks and Kirkmeyer, 3 votes apart. In Eagle County, let me check that. Yeah, it's this one. Eagle County, this is looking broadly positive for Jeff Hurd. He's not going to win with like 85% of the vote, which is a minor warning sign. He is going to need a lot of GOP turnout in the general alongside crossover appeal, but it's not horrible. Eagle County, this is another place where Phil Weiser's breaking out into these rural areas. That's not good. Bennett has to contain him. He's not containing him. Victor Marks is barely up in Eagle County. I'm keep pulling up Colorado Senate. Let me pull up the Colorado Senate primary in 2022 for Republicans. I think this is probably the best comparison to be made. Who are the testers not endorsed candidates? I'm not endorsing on the Democrat side. I thought Weiser would win. I thought Hickenlooper would win. I didn't think there'd be this much of a ticket split. I was wrong. Apparently so. We'll see if that increases. But I support Kirkmeyer. I just think you don't want to get blown out in the state. Marks is a very funny candidate. He also would lose easily, is the problem for him. For the 3rd district, I don't know. I like Ron Hanks. It's just this was not the year to run. Trump is very, very paranoid about pissing off any incumbents or weakening his chances in any districts. Like, there's a reason why he didn't primary out Hurd. Trump would love to primary out Hurd. Hurd is, more moderate, but even he knows that this is going to be a competitive district in the general. District 8, I didn't want Rittenell to win. He just annoys me. It was very likely that Rittenell would end up winning. This was expected. Pueblo's in. Okay. Bennett is up 63-37. That's probably his first piece of good news tonight. There are some votes to be gained there. Pueblo's going to Victor Marks. This was also expected. Pueblo was a Ron Hanks county previously. That's one thing, though. Like, the difference between this was the 2022 Senate primary. Joe O'Dea was more moderate. We're on over Ron Hanks, who, has run twice in the 3rd District now. Um, Ron Hanks did pretty good in these, eastern rural areas. Kirkmeyer is breaking into these rural areas, it's a pretty positive sign for her. I don't think we're going to get a call out of this race on election night. But the thing is, where did O'Dea gain the most votes? He didn't in Denver. It was Jefferson. It was Douglas. It was Arapahoe County. She's underrunning in Douglas. Plus, El Paso could potentially net her votes. We have to see out of that. But, what's still outstanding? Adams is still out. Arapahoe County is still out. Jefferson County is still out. El Paso, probably closer to a bellwether in this election. Joe O'Dea sucks. Yeah, Joe O'Dea was not the best candidate to run for statewide office in Colorado. Yeah, the lose. This is just it's very disappointing for Julie Gonzalez. She's not even getting any Hispanic support materializing for her. The clean sweep for Hickenlooper. She's not winning a single county, and that's the problem. Where is she going to gain votes? She's not down by that much statewide. The rest of the votes are the rural areas and the suburban areas, which, could the suburban areas break for her? Perhaps. Boulder probably would be the only place I could see breaking for her at this point. And even so, if she's losing Denver, this is her home county. This is where her state Senate district is. Private polling given to Democrats before the election showed Denver close. And if that's just not materializing whatsoever, it's a pathetic performance all around. We also got, Jeff Hurd. He won Pueblo 70-30. I don't see a race here. I don't see a path for Ron Hanks. This is just it's a very poor performance all around. Wait, this county is interesting. Phil Weiser. Mind you, this county is interesting. It is the only county to vote against Hickenlooper in 2020. And what did it vote for Senate? Hickenlooper flips it. Hickenlooper, the only county in the state to vote against Sean Hickenlooper in his 2020 Senate bid. Currently, he leads it. Now, could he lose the lead there? Of course. There's a shot. We have to wait to see if there's provisional, or we have to see the late breaking ballots. We have to see even if this is the early vote. This could be the early vote, which was expected to lean much more against progressives. I wouldn't be shocked to see Julie Gonzalez emerge ahead in the final count in Denver. That's less than 1,000 vote margin. This isn't shocking. But the problem is she's just down by so much. She's down by so much, and she's got really nowhere to make up for it. Where is she going to make up for it? It's just it's the eternal question, and the answer is probably nowhere. I'm not seeing it. La Plata County, another close county. At the end of the day, if Victor Marks wins, it's because of Scott Bottoms. Scott Bottoms definitely seems to be splitting the vote at the moderate vote at this point. It's not great. It's not great because he's going to, it is a safe blue state. It is a state that I would be shocked to see go Republican in the general election. But you can narrow the margin. You can lose by around Harris's margin. Kirkmeyer would do very well in the suburbs. Around Denver and even Garfield and Mesa, which are much more ancestrally Republican. Those are the two most important congressional districts in the state that you could not be getting blown off the face of the earth in. It'd be much better for Republicans if Kirkmeyer were nominated. This is definitely. Listen. Jefferson County. That's bad. That's bad that Weiser's winning there. That's bad. Yeah, Jefferson voted more conservative than the state at large in 2020. We'll see. And it's not overwhelming for Hickenlooper. That's not a great performance there, and that could signal poorly for the other two suburban counties. But that's not good for Bennett. Bennett, I don't see where does he net the votes? Here's the thing. Right now, he's down by about 40,000 votes. He's going to probably net lose out of the two remaining suburban counties. Where is he going to make that up? His biggest plurality is 5,000 in Pueblo. And he's losing Mesa, which I was just about to bring up as another place where he could net votes. He's not netting votes in Mesa County. And it's another loss for Julie Gonzalez. It's just she's not doing well amongst Hispanics. It's just not. There's not the support for materializing tonight. Hickenlooper, he's not the most popular amongst his party, but besides for voting for him, I think one or two of Trump's cabinet nominees, he really hasn't broken with the Democratic base that often. There's just not the appetite to primary him out there. Denver, we're going to have to wait for Arapahoe, but I'm expecting very few votes in from here, unless the Jets winning them 60-40. It's looking like curtains on this first district result. That's the sad thing. We got results pretty quickly. That's the sad thing about these Democratic primaries. Unlike a lot of Republican primaries, one example I remember very dearly is Texas's 23rd. It's over pretty quickly because you got one or two counties per district. And it's just a numbers game with them. We'll see how the remaining vote breaks. Weirder things have happened, but it does look like Democrats will knock off another incumbent. This will be the third incumbent Democrat to lose a non-redistricting race and the fifth incumbent Democrat to lose a primary at all this cycle. Jefferson County voted a lot for Kirkmeyer, 12 points. Voted for O'Day by over 20. She's doing okay. She's just not doing great. Mesa County voted for Joe O'Day. It's giving Marks a pretty big plurality there. Nothing else really in. Or I think that might have been Los Alamos that reported. It's just whether Bennett leave a state cushy Senate job to be governor for a future run at president or something. I think there's a lot of disillusionment with the Senate. A lot of people do want to be the executive, which is a benefit of being governor. You get more control of your state directly. It's the same reason why Tuberville and Blackburn are trying. Tuberville gave up. Blackburn is trying to give up her Senate seat to be governor, and it's kind of the same reason why Klobuchar is leaving. I forgot about the other. There's 4 senators running for governor this cycle. Maybe he'll run for president. I'm pretty sure he already did. There's not that much impetus on him, but I think he more just wanted to be an executive. Does Colorado allow Bennett to run for both governor and senate like Texas and Delaware Does Colorado allow Bennett to run for both governor and senate like Texas and Delaware allows a run for both office? I don't know. His term isn't up until 2028, though. So, it looks like we're not going to have to debate that. He's not doing nearly good enough. He's just not eating into this Denver plurality, He's down by 40,000 statewide. He was down by 30,000 in Denver. He hasn't narrowed that at all. He's narrowed it by percentage, but he hasn't narrowed it by raw votes. I suppose Senate sounds like an easy job where you do nothing and make tons of backdoor seedy money. It's just maybe there's an aspiration to do more and to have more control and direct power. This is interesting. Okay, we got Arapahoe County. Kirkmeyer wins it by 16, down from a 21-point margin for Joe O'Day, which would be bad, but Joe O'Day won by 9 statewide. This is the problem. He lost more votes. Now he lost 4,000 more. I don't see where Bennett's going to pull. El Paso maybe could net it. El Paso, Boulder, I don't think would vote for the moderate in this race. Fort Collins, maybe. He's got to hope for something wild in Adams, or he's got to hope the late breaking ballots break for him, which they won't. I don't see the path for Bennett. Bennett ran in 2020, but got knocked out before Iowa. He wouldn't be the only one who had that happen. Bennett needs to win Arapaho to win. I mean, he didn't. He didn't. That's the problem. It's just it's an all-around poor performance. This is interesting, though. The GOP primary was not expected to be competitive. Kirkmeyer was not expected to be this close. I think she's going to gain in Boulder. There's not too many GOP voters there. Does her Senate district? Let me see if her state Senate district intersects with Fort Collins, because I'm pretty sure it does with Weld, which would explain why she's doing so great there. I think it's right on the border between those two counties. But she'll gain in Larimer, she'll gain in Boulder, she'll probably gain in Adams based on, the dictator margin she's putting up around there. El Paso, it's going to be El Paso for Marks, or it's going to be like sweep the remaining rural areas. I mean, he's close, but he's down by 11,000 votes. The strongest plurality he's gotten out of a single county is about 3,500. A little bit above 3,000 out of Mesa and Pueblo, and there's not really that big of a more liberal or more conservative Republican county left. Is Michael Bennet even moderate? He would be moderate compared to Weiser based on the campaigns they've run. This is insane. It's insane how close Gonzalez has consistently gotten in counties. 55-45, 50. That's not close. 54-46. 53-47, and now she just hasn't won a single county. I wonder if they haven't called the third. What the fuck are they waiting for? What are you waiting for out of here? Like, Hurd hasn't lost a single county. The only one under 60% is one county. I don't know why the fuck they haven't called that one. Yeah. Oh, also that would be we got more out of here, and it went for Diana DeJet by 40 votes. She's down by over 2,000 in Denver. And the problem is the remaining ballots are likely to be much younger, much more progressive. I don't see how Diana DeJet survives this. Unless suddenly Kuros voters flock to James, it's looking over. It's looking over. Bennett is man on the issues. Weiser is not that good on the issues, in my opinion. I mean, both are Democrats, is the problem. And Weiser has staked out a, particularly progressive path in this campaign. Bennett's not going to be the presidential nominee. He can't even win a fucking governor primary in his own state. He's not going to be the nominee. He doesn't really have a shot. Elbert County, I mean, it's votes, and they add up in these rural areas. It's just, Marks is down by 10,000. Could he make it up? Of course, but would I say he's favored to make it up? I don't know. Who the fuck even is Wanda James? I mean, you can't really call it a third party in these races because it's an intra-party primary. But I mean, she's a member of the University of Colorado Board of Regents. She's a nothing. She has no shot. This is insane. I thought Gonzalez would do better. I didn't think she'd lose by this much. Bennett could do, or Hickenlooper could do better than 2020. I mean, he won 58.8% in 2020. He could conceivably do better than that tonight. This was not. I did not expect this. It's a slight surprise. Nothing new out of the 8th. I would say Maddie Retinel is very much favored. Yeah. I can get behind Democrats on healthcare and certain economic issues, but the issues they are almost always pro-choice, bad on immigration, and want to ban assault weapons and handguns for everyone. I mean, I guess healthcare, yeah. Economics, I don't think we should abandon the average citizen. But I mean, I just don't think I think their policy has it cannot exist in reality. It is a farce. It's a joke. So I I wouldn't recommend subscribing to liberal thought at all. So yeah. Dems are sort of right in free school lunches for kids. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Healthcare is a resource just as food or water is, but like you should also make sure that people aren't like starving or like completely dehydrated as a society. It's like it's kind of nice to not kill people. Um, it's hot take, um, scorching hot take. I know, um, but yeah, I'm seeing if DDHQ has any more votes. They do supposedly a small amount of. They got Boulder. DDHQ is Boulder. Yeah, Boulder came in very much against Bennett, as expected. Came in for Hickenlooper. That's it. I don't see where Julie Gonzalez makes it up. And it also came in for Kirkmeyer. That's another 2,000 to her overall lead. Let's sit tight and wait for it to report on New York Times. Just making it free. I mean, yeah, I don't support free healthcare, but I think like the poorest in society should be given. Like we shouldn't kill poor people. Personally, hot take. I know. Yeah. No, this is just. Yeah, she's doing pretty good in Boulder. She's doing actually better in terms of percentage than Joe Dea did over Ron Hanks. I think Kirkmeyer's the slight favorite for this race, unless the late breaking ballots break, particularly for Marks. I think she's the favorite. I think she's the favorite. It's close. It's close, but 10,000 votes. She's going to gain in Boulder. She's going to gain in the remaining suburban counties. I think she wins. Yeah. Now we get the waiting, the fun part of this. Um, yeah, I just don't. I don't see it for Bennett. I don't see it for Hickenlooper at this point. Um, we got someone wants to be different on the GOP side for Attorney General. I guess Jenna Griswold is going to be the Attorney General. Ooh. And I think the fact that she did better in the rural areas would signify she's slightly more conservative. So, ooh, interesting. Interesting. Wow. Who gives a fuck? And then they finally called it for Jeff Hurd. Yeah, it was pretty much over. There. District 3, is this interesting for Democrats? I mean, that's kind of interesting. There's a little bit of a regional battle. They're going to nominate an Army veteran. Ooh. And I assume Romero has made him do better with Hispanics. Ooh. Interesting. The reason why we have an economic crisis is because people buy way more stuff, like bigger houses, 2 to 4 cars per household, more electricity, more internet, and other stuff. About that, it's not mainly due to inflation; it's because of people buying way more luxuries and other stuff. I mean, you could say that like the luxury-based economy is bad, but I don't think it's just because people are buying expensive things. Yeah, we got more votes out of here. Wait, that's interesting. Okay, we got El Paso. Bennett wins it. Bennett wins it narrowly. Like I said, that was probably one of the only places where you could gain votes out of. Adams County completely undoes that. Yeah, it's just Weiser wins there out of Colorado governor. El Paso breaks for Marks. Breaks for him by about 3,000 votes. Adams breaks for Kirkmeyer by a negligible margin. And we got those on New York Times. Okay. Yeah, El Paso pushed Bennett a little bit closer, but Adams undoes it. And the problem is, where does Bennett gain votes out of the rest of the state? unless in these remaining counties, coincidentally, is going to be putting up 80-20 masterclass wins. I just don't see it. And the governor primary is narrowing, but 7,000 votes is still pretty hard to beat. He's gotten El Paso, he's gotten Pueblo, he's gotten Mesa out of the way. Where else is he going to gain? Where else can he gain? Boulder County comes in. Boulder County pads Kirkmeyer a little bit more. And she's still got Fort Collins left. Honestly, Bennett's got to win to Fort Collins by like a dictator margin at this point. Only place I could see him gaining votes, like a meaningful amount of votes out of the remaining counties. It's his only hope. Boulder County just trying to be different. Actually, how is it for... Ooh, yeah, that's not great. They're winning at 57-42. That's pathetic. Out of District 8, he's winning Adams by more. Manny Rutinel has won the primary. This is pretty definitive at this point. Democrats nominated progressive in a Trump district, but a Trump district that is going to swing Democrat and probably throw out its incumbent Republican. Interesting. Then we got out of the 5th district. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Whoa. Yeah. I don't really know about the 5th district, if I'm being honest. But it's just Julie Gonzalez went down in flames. This is the problem. She did okay in El Paso, actually. It's not terrible. Yeah, she only ran 10 points behind Weiser, which wouldn't be enough to win. Weiser's not winning by 10 points, and he probably doesn't win by 10 points, but it's a far cry. Denver was the insane thing. She lost Denver, her home turf, and Weiser won it by 30. That's why this night has gone so terribly for Bennett, because immediately out the gate we saw Denver come in 30 points for Weiser. It's not his entire statewide margin, to be fair, but if the Denver margin were much narrower, Bennett could be winning some of these suburban counties, or could be racking up much larger margins out of El Paso, out of Weld County. These rural areas would start to add up more if you were winning them by more than at most 65-35. And this is embarrassing. This is an incumbent senator being denied the governor's position. Yes, he's running against a statewide elected official, but Phil Weiser is not the most high-profile attorney general, and Michael Bennett was relatively well-liked amongst Coloradians. What do you call them? Coloradians? Colorados? I don't know what to call them. It's just a poor performance. Hamilton was right about everything in economics. That is true. That is true. The Federalists were goated. Being young is thinking the Democratic Republicans were really cool because they wanted my rights. Growing up is realizing the Federalists were the better party. Yeah, and they called it for Hickenlooper. They called it John Hickenlooper wins a second term in the Senate. It will narrow from here, almost certainly. DDHQ doesn't even have the balls to call it. Jesus Christ. And they're not waiting for a single dump afterwards. That's insane. But it's bold. It's bold. But John Hickenlooper supposedly has won. He faced a relatively spirited primary challenge he had a relatively spirited primary challenger in State Senator Julie Gonzalez. New York Times supposedly has seen enough. I haven't. I would wait to see Denver, how it swings, Adams County, Boulder County, how they swing in the late arriving mail, which we have seen has been pushed to the left. But, that's bold of them. And for Chet, the Trump district, I think, will flip is the 8th district. Manny Rutinel he's won it. He might as well have won at this point. Even DDHQ has called him as the victor. He is the nominee. out of the 8th district. This is about Trump plus 2. But it is very Hispanic, and it is expected that they will throw out their incumbent representative, Gabe Evans, who won in an upset and at this point seemingly a fluke in 2024. So, I mean, yeah, we have to see. I don't see a path for Bennett. A few decades ago, you could live with luxuries and not suffer, so it's similar now. Plus, inflation at 9%. Christian monarchy is a bad idea. As you probably get an eldest son that's a retard, eventually best system is a secular authoritarian. I mean, I broadly agree with a strong executive. I think that's I think it's for the best that an executive is very strong, to deal with the problems, the day-to-day problems of the nation. I would believe in a strong executive. Where was that exactly? Let me see if I can find where that was. Clear Creek, I think. No. La Plata. No. What? Okay, I don't know where that vote was from. Is it really an upset? I thought the 8th district was one of the only parts of the state that was shifting right. It's not an upset that Trump won it. It's an upset that Gabe Evans won it. Not many people thought that he would win it. NBC calls it. Wait, let me see. NBC Colorado Gov. Primary results. Okay, here. Yeah, okay. That's kind of big. NBC News has called the governor primary out of Colorado for Phil Weiser. He defeats Senator Michael Bennet. The problem is he ran up dictator margins out of the urban centers, and Larimer County. Then that's another thing. Bennet had to win there, and he had to do well there. He doesn't. He loses it by 10. That was one of the only places to go. How do I feel that I won't be my month tomorrow? Despondent. Another thing, Gonzalez just doesn't do good in Larimer County. It's pathetic. And Barbara Kirkmeyer racks up another large win out of Larimer County, and now it's just a scattering of rural areas. Like we will have to wait for the governor primary on the Republican side. We have a long way to go. We have a lot of ballots that will be tallied after Election Day. But the problem is there's just really not that much left out of these rural areas. I mean, the only somewhat large county would be Montrose, and even if he wins every ballot in that county, that's not enough to narrow the statewide margin. So he's going to have to wait for provisionals. Canada Day tomorrow. God bless Canada. A little bit socially liberal, but it's Canada. They're a little bit they're like a little bit inferior to us. Kirkmeyer lost. She's leading. She lost percent. She didn't lose raw votes, which was a thing. She's up by a little bit less than 12,000 raw votes. It's the thing where, if you're Marx, would you rather, in successive drops, gain 1,000 votes on Kirkmeyer, or would you rather she get 1 million votes and you get 1 million votes? Because if she got 1 million votes and you got 1 million votes, the percentage margin would narrow a lot, but she'd still be up by 12,000 votes. Now she has to gain raw votes. Bennett is cooked. It's over. It's over. NBC called it already for Phil Weiser. This race is over. Bennett's career goes down in flames. At this point, if I were the guy, I lost by such a margin, I wouldn't even run for re-election in 2028. I would just, get the fuck out of Dodge. Leave the Senate primary open for whoever wishes to come and partake in it. Who do I want to win the World Cup out of World Cup out of realistic teams. USA is not a realistic option to win. I ask you to have more faith. I don't know. Italy was eliminated. It's kind of sad. I love Italy. Vote silence, no matter who. Thank you for that. I mean, I feel like anything I say with that will get me in trouble somehow. Yeah, they called it for Manny Root. No. All the Twitter gays are very happy about this, which makes me sad. Because I don't like to see them happy. Where was that? We got more votes. Let me see. Oh, we got Montrose County, like I said, largest outstanding county. He only gains 1,000. Like, he's going to end the night trying to chip down Kirkmeyer's lead as much as possible. It's not going to be enough. It's not going to be a particularly strong margin. At this point, yeah, it's going to be close percentage wise, but Kirkmeyer will hold a vote lead. Yeah, no. Marks is going to have to pray those remaining ballots in El Paso break towards him. There just really isn't that much left in the state. I wouldn't call the Senate race as of now. She's down by a lot, but like there is 35% remaining in Denver, and one if there's more than that, and two if they break for Gonzalez by a lot. You don't know at this point. You don't know at this point. Like he's only up by only I say boldly, but he's only up by 15 statewide. You don't know how the remaining votes will break. You don't know in what intensity. They could. I get it to some extent. I do get it to some extent. Yeah, no, this is over. This is insane. It's it's not an upset as in it was expected before election night, but it's an upset as in like you asked someone a month ago. They would tell you this was Bennett's race to lose, and lose it he has done. This is just it's funny, honestly. The guy's career is just over at this point. I think we're gonna put it on this race because this race, I like this one. It's like a regional Democrat primary. That's fun. And we're gonna answer some in chat. I had some absolute nonsense about Marks, but I know the Colorado GOP is dumpster juice. Is the other candidate better? She's more moderate. Kirkmeyer is a moderate state senator from the Fort Collins area. She would perform better in the general election, especially in the Fort Collins area, which has the 8th district, which even though it probably flips Democrat, you don't want to concede it to them. You don't want to concede an incumbent Republican in a seat that wasn't redrawn. Short of Valadeo, I don't think Republicans should consider any incumbent truly dead on arrival. Like even Kevin Kiley or something. But she is somewhat better. She would definitely perform better in a general election. Yeah, Moffat County came in. It's not enough for her. It's just not enough for him. He didn't mobilize the rural areas to his side nearly enough. Yeah, that would be an upset. That would be a big upset if Kirkmeyer beat out Victor Marks for the GOP nomination. He was considered a shoo-in. Even it's not a great indicator, but it is a good indicator as to how people are responding. The betting odds definitely do not like Victor Marks' performance. Before the first votes dropped, he was at 97 cents. He's down to 31. Kirkmeyer has gone from 8% to 72. They're seeing the exact same results we are, and none of them are positive for Marks, or positive enough. I'm looking at this, who could help get the race closer to help down ballot. 100% Kirkmeyer. It's 70% and Kirkmeyer is holding the lead. That is true, and there's barely any counties left. 600, 100, 200, 2,400. one 450, one 400, 450. Where is Marks going to gain the votes that he needs to make up the statewide margin? You know, I don't see where he makes it up. I can't see where Victor Marks makes up his deficit at this point. What are we talking about in chat? Can someone give me a cliff notes of what the chat conversation is talking about? Since it seems like we're talking about money and the World Cup, which seem a bit disjointed. Yeah, we got Archuleta County. It's not the margin he needs. It's not what Marks needs. It's not what Bennett needs. I mean, Bennett, what now? He's down by about 60,000 statewide. His largest plurality in a county is 5,000. Like I don't see where he makes up this vote share. It's more World Cup now. I don't know. I hope the U.S. wins. Otherwise, I don't really care. I don't know. I'll see if the U.S. gets eliminated. I'll pick a team. Until then, you know, why don't we have some hope? No team outside South America or Europe has made the final World Cup. Only 2 teams have made semifinals: South Korea 0-2, Morocco 22. You can't say that the U.S. has a realistic chance at winning. I can believe. I can believe. I can have faith in my nation. I don't know. I hope America wins. God bless America. I don't know. Is the U.S. still in it? Yeah, the U.S. is still in it. Okay. I don't know. I choose Argentina if I had to choose after the U.S. I don't know. Yeah. Ask questions, even if it's not related to the state of Colorado. It's slowing down. We're going to wait for the remaining counties to report, and we'll see what happens after that. We'll see if we can get a county to report like a second batch of votes or something. You know, so you can consider that. Yeah. But until the U.S. has to play Spain round of 16 or some other European country in quarters and is knocked out, no, I believe. I have faith. Mexico has a better chance of winning than the U.S. No. Yeah. But yeah. Michael Bennett's career is over. You know, can we get a W in chat? Can we get a W for the end of Michael Bennett's career? Can we get a W for the death of Michael Bennett's career in chat? Pretty please. W. What are my 5 favorite Democrats? Suozzi, Golden, Moskowitz, Gillen, Gluesenkamp, Perez. Not in that order. They're just the 5 that I find least offensive, I guess. Oh, more vote. And that was... I actually don't know. But that was Custer County. Okay, that's interesting. Scott Bottoms in second over Kirkmeyer. I wonder if he leads the county in the final vote. But we got 3 counties left. Did Bennett win yet? Bennett got blown out. Yeah, NBC News actually has already called it for Phil Weiser. Phil Weiser wins. Uh, it's not like an earth-shattering upset. We've had some big governor upsets this cycle. Georgia was an upset. Colorado now is an upset. Pretty obviously. Iowa governor was an upset. Um, like Henry Cuellar. Henry Cuellar is okay. Peltola. Peltola is good for her state. Ossoff is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's a joke. He's a good speaker. He's a good speaker, I will say. It's just he's not a good person whatsoever. I wouldn't subscribe to his philosophy whatsoever. Yeah, this is just insane how Bennett, blundered this. It's just so pathetic. Oh my god. She's so poor. Yeah. Yeah. America winning World Cup will happen when aliens come down with lasers. I will have faith. Have faith. Oh my God, the doomerism. America won't win the World Cup. It's all over. Like no, we will. Have faith. Like believe. Have There's no need. There's no need to doom. There's no need to doom and say America's gonna lose. Who's the fakest moderates running in 2026? Ossoff is a fake moderate. Osborne. Actually, no. Osborne's kind of moderate. On the other side, Mike Collins is a fake moderate in Georgia. Like the guy has. We got it for governor. Phil Weiser wins. Phil Weiser beats Michael Bennett for the gubernatorial nomination in a pretty stunning upset. It was kind of expected, and Phil Weiser was a statewide elected official. He wasn't going to go down without a fight, but Michael Bennett, the senator, is expected to do pretty well. He ends up falling. He ends up got blown out in the urban core of the state. Just couldn't make it up in the rural areas. So we got Senate is supposedly decided. I'm gonna wait and see. I don't see Julie Gonzalez walking away without winning a single county, if I'm being honest. And then we get the privilege of waiting on the GOP results, which will take a while. Herkmeyer leads Marks by about 10,000 votes as of now. Who knows how it will change with the votes out of Hinsdale, San Juan, and San Miguel. I would expect them to break about evenly. Camille, USA will have a good run and win. Thank you, American guy. I agree with that. I have more hope in the U.S. winning than Argentina and France. That's a hot take, but I appreciate the patriotism, American guy. Yeah, we're still winning. Exactly. We are winning the World Cup. America will win the World Cup. You heard it here first. Yeah. Damn. Progressives crying because Julia Gonzalez didn't win. Lamel. I mean, they got the win. They got the win out of Colorado's first. Diana DeJette, who's been in Congress for like 30 years, has lost. My voice sounds fucked. Diana DeJette, who's been in Congress for like 30 years, has lost renomination, more than likely to Malit Kuros, who is a former lawyer. There's two types of upsets, is what I'll say. there's the upset in you go into an election thinking the race will be different than what it ends up being, and there's the upset in that you would think that a race is different than it ends up being. Governor, we were prepared for this. We thought that Weiser would win, but like in logic would dictate that Michael Bennet, the senator, would trounce him, even though he was a statewide elected official. He really wasn't that high up, and Bennet is known throughout the entirety of the Colorado Democratic Party, and isn't that unpopular. She's finished. In response to who? If USA wins, you'll donate 50,000 here. I'll hold you to it. Out of U.S. Senate, John Hickenlooper. I wouldn't say trounces, but defeats semi-comfortably Julie Gonzalez, the Denver state senator. This isn't exactly shocking. A U.S. senator should fend off primary challenges, but the thing is, Hickenlooper really hasn't been that popular in the past. He ran against a basically a nobody in Romanoff, who was, I think, a former Speaker of the House. That's State House. That's not that high of a position, and he still did pretty poorly with everyone's endorsement. He was endorsed by virtually everyone in the Colorado Democratic primary. And this time around, he barely underperforms that. There was some excitement for Gonzalez in this race. There's some hype behind her. Dem's best chance of primarying out an incumbent senator didn't work. Like we were talking about, like Colton Blanks was talking about, Colorado's first. Malik Kuros has lost. No. Diana DeJet has lost. The remaining vote will be more progressive leaning, which is why I think New York Times is especially bold to call the Senate primary this early. But the remaining vote is expected to be much younger, much more progressive leaning. Bennett will retire in 2028. I agree. I don't see how you where you go after a performance like this. This was embarrassing. This was pathetic. An incumbent senator doing this poorly. It's a very poor performance. I don't see why he would think he should face the voters again after this. I would be ashamed to show my face if I were him at this point. Wait, we might have something interesting. We do. Scott Bottoms wins the county, supposedly. And I can see into the future, and San Miguel County will drop for Scott Bottoms. I know this because I have a mystic third eye called DecisionDeskHQ.com. But that's interesting. I mean, the guy has enjoyed a pretty far back placement. But this is a broadly good result for Republicans. Yeah, see, I told you I come from the future. We have one county left in the state, San Juan. And then we move to the second phase of this, which is the trail of what comes after Election Day, which governor will lean towards Weiser. He's going to win by more. He'll win by over 10 points with the final votes, which is insane. He could win El Paso County, which is a very culturally conservative county. So voting for a progressive is certainly interesting. And it could narrow the margin out of the Senate race. Honestly, if I had to guess, I would say the governor's race is more lopsided than the Senate race. I think Gonzalez will take the lead in Denver. She'll win at least something. But who's everyone rooting for in Mexico or Ecuador for the current match? Right, on right now. I haven't been following it that closely. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I've not been following it that closely. Third district, we also have a call out of the Democrat side. Dems nominate an Army veteran over a businessman. He seemingly did very well with Hispanics. I wonder if that would translate into the general election. Who knows? But you're watching right now. Who's leading? I can't take more disappointment after that. After Germany lost, man, like it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not. It's not fair. It's not. It's too sad. It's too sad. Um, yeah, damn. Jenna Griswold. I mean, what, she won by 26 points. That's more. It's more than you know. It's more than a U.S. senator, and that would be more than what Bennett won by. But Bennett didn't win. Good, Germany lost. The underdogs, Paraguay. What? Fuck you. I know who else is a fake moderate. Share Browning voted with Biden 98% of the time. That is true. He, though, does have a lot of roots to Ohio. Like, here's the thing. Is he the favorite? We can debate this. I think he's much stronger than people are giving him credit for, because I think people are like, well, he's not the incumbent. Like, he was the incumbent 2 years ago. Like, I don't think people are going to be like, I was going to vote for Sherrod Brown, but he's not the incumbent anymore. And I think Husted's a pretty terrible candidate, objectively. But we can have this debate about Sherrod Brown, but I think people are very much underestimating him at their own peril. If they think he's just gonna get blown out, like I don't know. I don't know. He's got very strong roots to Ohio, and he's got a lot of crossover appeal. Listen, underestimate him, but underestimate him at your own risk. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I think Sherrod wins right now. We can have a debate over this, like I said. Would I be shocked? Not really. It's a bad enough year for Republicans that expect results like that. But like I said, we can have a debate over this right now. Republicans are not doing the best. They're not doing too hot in the generic ballot, and the problem is, you're not doing great in the generic ballot. Like, and all these predictors on the right are like, yeah, the generic ballot is going to be like D+5 to 6. I admit it. But also, every race that I want the GOP to win, they'll win. Like, you have to have the wave somewhere. If there is going to be a blue wave, which a lot of Republicans just concede at this point, their thoughts go into, well, it's not as big of a wave as Democrats might like, but like if there is going to be a wave, it's going to break through somewhere. And where is it going to break through the most? Probably the Rust Belt. Propensity disfavors Republicans. And a lot of Trump's policies are unpopular there. If Republicans are going to take the heat, it's going to be there. So I wouldn't count him out. I'm not saying he's the favorite. Well, what else would Senate predictions be for if it weren't to say whether I believe he is or isn't the favorite? But I'm just saying, don't underestimate him at your own peril. I think he wins by a quarter of a point recount territory. I mean, he could. Where the fuck are these votes coming from? Broomfield supposedly dropped more. Broomfield dropped more, supposedly. Yes, okay. Do we wait for the final county or do we call it here? If we get more chats other than, a World Cup game that I'm not watching, I think Republicans will do okay in the South, and the beatings happen in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Yeah, I would say so. Most of the Rust Belt, like the South is very racially polarized, and Republicans are much higher propensity in the South. You won't see blacks turn out nearly as much. But in the Rust Belt, you're going to feel the wave. In suburbia, especially in heavily Latino areas, heavily Hispanic areas, you're going to feel the wave, and you're going to feel it in the Rust Belt just because Republicans don't turn out in the Rust Belt. This is the thing. If you recall, first of all, if you recall the 2024 electorate in these Rust Belt states, they would vote Democrat because a lot of the median voters, a lot of the swing voters that flipped to Trump are mad at Trump. So already by default, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania would vote Democrat, and then that's the best. That's the best scenario for Republicans because any drop in turnout from there will come at Republicans' expense. So, you in Michigan, you're going to face like a Harris +5, or not a Harris +5, maybe like a Harris +2 electorate that's going to want to vote by default like D+5. Can you overcome that for Senate? Sure, maybe. But it's going to be very narrowly. These people are like, I know it's over. Abdul El-Sayed has lost, if he's the nominee. Like, no, you have to think about it this way. If he shared a ballot with Harris, would he underperform her by 6 points? I don't know about that one. I'm not sure about that one. Could he lose? Yes, but when a lot of voters are going to be looking at it through the lens of, I want Democrats to control every seat they can because I'm mad at Trump, and this race will, if this race goes Republican, it locks down the Senate for Republicans. Will I vote Republican? A lot of them aren't going to vote Republican. And then you just have the fact that Mike Rogers isn't a good candidate. Like, he lost already. He's running again. He's only polling at like 43% for someone who just ran. Like, he's also seen as like very transparently, practically begging for the seat because he's running again. Like, is that going to work? It could. It could. I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on it. Abdul has a good chance in Michigan because it is a populous state. I wouldn't even say so. I'm not a closeted Groyper. I've made my, lack of cohesion with Groyperism very, very astute. How does Tom Tiffany do in Wisconsin? I mean, he probably loses. Like, at the end of the day, he's running to flip a state that will have like a Harris +4 electorate show up. Like, it was Harris +7 in 2025. Supreme Court election, yes, the electorate will be different, but like, I don't see Republicans being especially motivated for a governor's race, at least more than Democrats. I really don't see Republicans being more motivated. But it could change if Hong is the nominee. I don't think she will be. I think the two people who have been on statewide ballots before will do better than, or the two people who have been lieutenant governor before have been better, have a better chance at winning against the state house member. And I don't care what polling says. A lot of those polls are very much flawed. And even so, that's ignoring the fact that Democrats will almost certainly consolidate around a challenger to Francesca Hung to not make it so she wins the state. And even if she's the nominee, at the end of the day, it's a blue wave, and you have to look at everything under those dynamics. And yes, she would underperform the median Democrat in Wisconsin. Would it be by enough? That's an open question. I'm not giving you the answer to that. Could she win? Yes. And I think anyone who says she couldn't win, would be an insta flip for Republicans, is delusional, and will be recanting on that by October, especially if she is the favorite to win by October. I don't know what that means in Chinese. Gun to my head, would I rather vote for Trump or Groyper? I'd vote for Trump. Not particularly happy, but Groyperism just doesn't exist within reality. It's a political ideology based off shock value. I think Tiffany loses by 3 or 4. I like him, but he's not in a good environment. That's the problem. This is just not the environment to run in. Like, you can make an argument where we're in a worse environment for Republicans than 2018. Like, it's just not a good environment. Like, it's just not a good environment. Neoliberal Falangism or tung accelerationism. Actually, I don't like how you used only 2. 3 tongues, no more, no less. How would I describe my ideology? Nationalism, which is a term I want to commandeer. It's a very nice term. I think most people can agree with it. I would say it's hardline nationalism. I think that the state, um, as an entity, should represent a nation, a people with collective culture, collective heritage, not like heritage as in like everyone has to tie themselves back to the Mayflower, but I do think people should be very. I'm not answering your question, humane. I would not describe myself as a paleocon god, no. But I think people should share collective culture, set of values, common history, stuff like that. People should integrate rather than expecting um, the nation to appeal to them. Nationalism was Protestant, liberal, modernist cringe. No, but yeah, I think the state as an entity really only works if it represents a people. Um, what's wrong with PaleoCon? It's not. It doesn't mean what it used to mean. Every Trump supporter has called themselves a PaleoCon. The word, any good meaning it had has been diluted by the Trump cultists. Um, and I think it's fair. I think it's fair to admit there's a cult of personality around Trump. Um, and I think it's fair, and I don't think people should disagree with the fact that for a lot of people that is bad. You know, I was even thinking this with the birthright citizenship case that came out today, but like a lot of people were very upset by that. I watched a rap stream and couldn't help but think that if Trump said, "Yeah, this is good," repealing birthright citizenship would be way too far. Couldn't help but think a few of these people who were so mad at it, saying "pack the court," um, would have been fine with the Supreme Court decision had Trump not told them to. It's good in that I think Trump is to the right of what the average Republican candidate was in 2012. It's just I think that was inevitable. I think that was natural that the GOP was going to move towards the right. I'm center right, but I cannot stand blind Trump followers, and it's like I just can't stand hypocrites. I can't stand people who change their ideology, change their beliefs. If you evolve, that's different. You know, think of it as like you have a set of like in the same way Euclidean geometry works. You have a set of axioms, you build up from them. You have a set of principles as a politician, as a person involved in politics, even as an individual, and you build up your ideology from them. So if you have a good argument that works against your ideology, you're like, actually, that makes sense with my principles, with the things I believe and hold core to my person. That that belief I had is wrong, and you naturally, move away from it, that's fair. But if you just like, if it's like Trump said one thing, Trump said that thing, like everyone should be able to condemn that. And this is the problem. This is the problem. And this is why I've definitely moved away from, the very, very Trump supporting sphere. Because, like, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. You know, these people call you a groiper and a doomer, and bought out by the Democrats. If you do that, you even have legitimate questions with Trumpism, and that's just like it's so unappealing to be a part of a movement like that. And another thing is just it seems like the movement is stalled. It really doesn't seem like we're making that much progress. Pushing the nation towards the right. It's just like, I of course support Republicans. I think I've made that very clear. Hi, Rando. But it's just like you have to move on from Trump. You have to move on from Trump to someone much more nationalistic, which is the way the GOP is heading, the way the GOP has been heading for forever. You have to move on. And people don't want to, the Trump third term LARPers. Like, it's a joke, but it's so annoying. Like, we can't find anyone within this movement that's better. It's just some people in MAGA act like anyone who calls out Trump on anything is a leftist, and it's not true. Or they act like you're a groiper. Groiper is not an ideology. Groiper is also a cult of personality. What Nick Fuentes says Euphoria is perfect, and all these people are like, I love Euphoria. He's owning all of those Israel First people. Like, you should be intelligent enough, and I think most people are intelligent enough for the most part, to form their own political beliefs without having it told to them. And it's just like, it's just so annoying when people like default to, no, tell me political beliefs. Inform me what I should believe. Like, it's annoying. It's annoying. It's annoying, and it makes politics insufferable. Um, yeah, the issue with Trump is, like, Trump is the life support of the GOP, which sucks since Trump initially dragged us out of the hole, then he pushed us back into it. Yeah, and the GOP dies with Trump at this point. Like, it's a suicide cult at this point. Look at the tariffs. The tariffs were abysmal, and no one can tell me they weren't. We got nothing, and we exploded our relationship with almost every geopolitical ally. Like, it was nonsense. And if you're like, banging the symbols, in support of the tariffs, like, it's just, is there nothing Trump can do to lose your support? And for some people, there is nothing. You can blow up every relationship with allies and then whine. They didn't come to support us in Iran. They weren't fighting with us in Iran. Like, why the fuck would they fight with us? Why would they give us anything? These foreign, Keir Starmer is very mean to me and anti-Trump. These foreign leaders are running in opposition to Trumpism because you've openly antagonized them. You've poked the bear and you're mad the bear is angry. Like, it's just idiocy. It's idiocy. And I respect intelligence and I respect consistency. And within the mainstream Trump movement, there's neither. And it's just, I yearn for one of the two at least. Opinions on Real American. I'm trying to cushion the blow. He's somewhat entertaining. Somewhat. I watch his streams, but I would not take what he says seriously at this point. The guy is not that politically intelligent. He's autistic, but even he's formulated the stream. The rap stream is an interesting entity, because it's formulaic. It's formulaic. It has the same crazy moments. Oh my God, Tyrone said something weird. Real Texan Luke said something weird. It's formulaic to deliver like the same moments. You're not getting anything new. You're not really getting, besides for some people on the streams, you're not getting nuanced commentary. Like Rap was during the stream today. Rap was saying, "Oh, you know what Congress should do? They should pass a clarification of the amendment like they did for prohibition." So he's just advocating for passing an amendment. Like, I don't like birthright citizenship. I think it's very important that it be ended. It is in the Constitution. There is no argument you can make otherwise. And Rap saying, like, John Roberts made a massive mistake where he said, everyone subject to the jurisdiction thereof is, that's everyone within the U.S. This means illegal immigrants will get citizenship. Like, you read the fucking... Jesus Christ, I've been talking for a while. You read the fucking text of the amendment, and it says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens, yada yada. And he's saying, because they determine subject to the jurisdiction thereof is within the U.S., this means illegals will be citizens. Like, they're not born or naturalized. And it's just the hysteria around this. Like, oh, I don't like that. Like, this guy gets his opinions from Twitter. And it's just like, you can't, he obviously hasn't read the amendment. If you want to do a stream on a legal document, like a Supreme Court case, read the document. It's a hard read. It's an annoying read. I've read Supreme Court cases, but I took a class, this like quarter credit class in school, where we used to read old Supreme Court cases, and my God, it was insufferable. Zero chance I'd become a lawyer. I was up for like hours at nights for a fucking a class that is worth 1/4 of my regular classes. And it's hard, but if you're going to do a video on it, if you're going to talk about it as if you are an informed person on the issues, you should read the cases, and he doesn't. And it's like he's entertaining, but there's no substance beyond the entertaining. There's no intelligence behind that at this point. And it's not like a blanket condemnation of every host, like everyone on the rap streams is stupid. Hell, I'm friends with people on the rap streams. But it's just like, get your news from other places is what I'm saying. It does annoy me to some extent, some of what he says, but I dislike the decision. But anyone who isn't just blind bipartisanship will see that sadly the court was right in a legal standpoint on this decision. Not saying I like it, I don't. Does he scream in every video? Yeah, because screaming is in place of intelligence. Screaming conveys emotion. And emotion is where his politics come from, not intelligence, not the wit of the human mind. It is screaming. If he says what he believes louder, it will be true. If he says it in an angry, screaming tone, it's right. That's not that. It makes no sense. It is MAGA slop. It is MAGA slop. He used to have more guests on. People grow up, to be fair. His hosts are doing other things. But yeah, I agree with the decision. Like, the 14th Amendment was not written to give illegal citizenship, but my opinion is the clause subject to the jurisdiction thereof. What does that mean? Like, let's say birthright citizenship is not true, and illegals are not subject to the jurisdiction thereof the United States. Well, then, what does that mean? Does that mean like the U.S. laws don't apply to them? Does that mean if an illegal kills someone, you can't try them? Like, listen, hey, if Trump were willing to concede that, I'd be like, hey, good on the guy for being consistent, but it's just, and there's a constitutional process for this. The Supreme Court decided it right, but if you believe they didn't, you have two methods of recourse. You can impeach the justices, or you can wait for them to die and appoint more. And this is the thing, like the Supreme Court, there's no checks and balances. Bitch, you fucking blew through the checks and balances. The checks and balances on the Supreme Court, the primary ones, are appointments. You're supposed to be very, very, very scrutinized when you go through the appointment process to the Supreme Court, because they're insulated once they get on the bench, because you shouldn't have the president be able to pressure the Supreme Court into ruling the same way as him. The exact same way that with the student loans case and with Roe v. Wade, Biden should not have been able to influence the court into making a legally dubious decision. Trump should not be able to influence the court into ruling illegally that the 14th Amendment means what it doesn't. And another thing that annoys me is this idea of the Supreme Court. Like, I like Kavanaugh, but his concurrence was virtually nonsense when you really think about it, because there's two cases. Either the amendment guarantees birthright citizenship, and you can't do anything with it, or the amendment doesn't guarantee it, in which case Congress can't legislate it. And an executive order also doesn't apply. There's really no case in which an executive order doesn't apply, but Congress applies, because it's in the Constitution, and Congress can't openly violate the Constitution, or else the entire system of judicial independence and review that we've been dealing with for the last, 230 years, since it wasn't immediately after independence that we got it, but that entire system that we've been dealing with since we had an established country is out the window. So what is the argument here? That the Supreme Court should have given Trump a nicer decision? Like, it's stupid. What issues do I feel like Trump is weak on? I think he's very stupid on foreign policy. I think he's weaker on immigration than I would like. Kavanaugh's opinion honestly made the most sense. I will say, this goes in violation of what I've said, because I've given my case and I've read part of the briefs. I do want to read the full Supreme Court briefs. I haven't read Kavanaugh's opinion yet. I will read it I'll get back to you on it, but I think the idea of it is very ludicrous. Weak on corruption, that is true. Not a major issue. I would vote for a corrupt government that saves the country over a spotless government that leads to managed decline. But it is something that's pretty indefensible. This is the thing. I see politics as two things. Either a president can be penalized if they take a controversial decision on a major issue I don't like, or if they do something indefensible on something I don't really care about. Um, Foreign policy, he screwed us with our allies and for nothing. And now we're involved in Iran when, this war, there's no benefit to us. We have no stake in it. We have nothing to gain from it. It's ludicrous. Inflation, yeah, what he's done. The fact he just says he doesn't care about inflation is insane. Abortion, I understand. You can't really get anything on the federal level. So I would disagree with that. Immigration, yeah, he's been okay on immigration. He's been weaker than I would like. And the fact that the rhetoric has been rolled back when the rhetoric was the toughest thing about immigration for him is definitely disappointing. But Trump is better than Johnson. This is not a hot take. This is like what, LBJ was better than Andrew Johnson. Oh, okay. Does that mean LBJ? I love the Civil Rights Act. Like, no. Where was that from? I think that was Denver. Yep, that was Denver. Julie Gonzalez won a county. Nice on her. She's going to need to win it by much more than that. And out of the first district, yeah, Melik Kiros has got it. It's going to be pretty hard at this point for her to lose it. I don't oppose the Civil Rights Act. I think parts of it are wrong. America should only be allied with European countries that aren't dominated by globalists that hate us. You see, you just don't understand foreign policy whatsoever. There's nuance to it, and you can't just, swear off any country that you don't like. You have to work with people you don't like. Opinion on Charlie Kirk, I think I don't think he went far enough on issues. And I do think some of his debates were a bit sloppulous, but I wouldn't seriously insult the guy, especially since he was martyred. I think that's very insensitive. Where was that vote out of? I would assume Pueblo. I don't know. I'm mainly seeing the Republican primary, though I do think it's interesting that Julie Gonzalez took her first county. We are Charlie Kirk. Real American Politics is the best political commentator on earth. This is true. W. Humane. This is true. You forgot the Iran war. We gained Israel friendship. If you bury your head in the sand, you'll forget we lost every ally in pursuit of kissing your feet. I don't really. Oh, I'm walking on eggshells when it comes to the Israel stuff. But I mean, yeah, we have thrown a lot away in pursuit of Israel's support, and it is rather tragic that we really won't be rewarded for it. I would not agree with that, Grape. That's a little bit insensitive. But I think the Iran war more broadly wasn't even for Israel. I think it was just very war hawkish, built on the idea that we thought we were invincible and we were not. There's problem with that. Free Palestine. This is not the proper response to be a slave to Palestine either. This is a very naive response. But I think the term rhino is overused and used on people with common sense. It's used on anyone who disagrees with Trump at this point. There's a problem with it. We need to at least try to start building relations with Russia. I agree, especially to combat China. I think that we don't have to ally ourselves directly with Russia, but I think I think it's for the best that we at least work with them against China. China's not the enemy. Saudi Arabia and the establishment are the enemies. Thank fuck that you're not in control of this country. My God. My God. Just the, like, disappointment in some of the foreign policy takes of these people. Yeah. Palestine invaded Lebanon in coordination with Syria and completely destroyed the country, lol. But they're the good guys. They're the good guys. Saudi Arabia was involved in 9/11. Okay. Okay. It's just like you watched a YouTube video on it or something. Um, I'm trying to see what Denver was initially in the Colorado primary, because I'll do some quick vote analysis on the Adams County. Adams County late mail broke for Gonzalez by 61-39, which was a 29% shift. Yeah, we cannot. There is no call in Colorado Senate. You cannot make that projection at this point. We still got a lot of vote left to go. You know, Hickenlooper's favored, but if you see an increased volume of mail left, there's a shot that Gonzalez could pull it off. Who's my favorite Rhino, along with Lou's favorite? Favorite? I mean, I would say Massey. I like the guy. He's very charismatic. It's evident he believes a lot of what he says. And the fact is that he was primaried out for calling out Trump on the Epstein list. Like, you can say two things can be true. Massey should not have been in government. Libertarians should not be in government. They are bad. But also, he was primaried out for the wrong reason. It's exactly the same reason why I supported Nancy Mace in 2024 that I supported Massey in 2026. Not enthusiastically. I was semi-disappointed to see him lose, but I wasn't, like, crying or anything over the result. I just think that if you're primarying out an incumbent for perverted reasons, there's a bit of a pun there, I guess. Epstein perverted, and also perverted as in, non sane reasons. I think that that is wrong. Massey was vindicated. We'll see. So what? We are supposed to reshape our foreign policy to be against Saudi Arabia 25 years later? Exactly. This is like you do not understand foreign policy if you're thinking we got to ally with China who wants to, kill us and supplant us as the world superpower to fight against the evil Saudi Arabians. This is retarded. This is idiotic policy. You do not live in reality if that is your policy. Okay, so I'm not doing the math on that. Actually, on second hand, I want an exact count on Denver. Does anyone know what Denver was out of the Senate race? Great Lakes Politics has become a new member. Thank you. And more people should become members. Like I said, I will try my best to do more members content in the future. I swear to God. I swear to God, I will try. There's no reason to ally with China who wants to poison us and overtake it. Exactly. We need to have an arm's length friendship with Russia. We can't prop up another China, but at the same time, we need to make an ally with some other superpower against China. I don't trust India. Exactly. India will play both sides reliably. In Russia, we can work. We don't have to be allies with them. We can work with them against China. The fact is, Russia is sterilized. Russia has no chance at any power as its own entity. And what we can do is either we can, try to, kick them down further, or we can work with them and use them as someone right on China's border who is relatively powerful to try to knock China down. But some people don't want that, which I don't know. A lot of the neocons don't want that, so fun. Broomfield County, later mail drop, shifted 30 points. Yeah, we're seeing about a 30-point shift to Julie Gonzalez in the later drops, which could make this race uncomfortably close for Hickenlooper. He's going to win by under 10 at this point. I'm not against being an ally to Israel, but we can't just go into debt even more over their wars. Ally is a two-way street, and it's not a two-way street for Israel most of the time. We do have to, like I said, it has to be a two-way street. You have to, it has to help both of us, and it's not helping us at this point. We shouldn't be allies with countries that don't help us. Nixon improved ties with China when it was a third world backwater agrarian society that wasn't even with the U.S. on the global playing field for the purposes of screwing over Russia, because he knew that they posed a significant threat to Russia if they were on our side, cutting off their ability to access Vietnam and also being right on their doorstep. The reason China has festered and grown so much since then is not because of Nixon opening the door to China, but because of weakness afterwards, where they were ignored during the Cold War and after the Cold War and allowed to become a very powerful communist state that despises America. The Saudi government is objectively way better than Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, Lamal, morally, and also they're more willing to work with us. Iran is not working with us. Iraq is not working with us. Syria is not working with us. Lebanon could work with us. I do especially feel for the Christian Lebanese, but it's no reason to be enemies with China on their Cold War mindset that wastes taxpayer money. Or the fact they want to kill us. That could also be something. I would hold that against them. And this is what happens when you have no nuance in geopolitics. Yeah. Anyways. We got mail votes from Weld County. Weld County is narrowing. Phil Weiser could end up winning it tonight. I'd be interested to see how the mail votes affect the Republican primary. It does seem to be favoring Marks. I wouldn't count Marks out of the primary. I want to see San Juan. When is San Juan dropping? This is retarded. Also, Melik Kuros has won. It is over. It is over. I like Israel, not the government. Also define a conspiracy other than anything you disagree with. Do you have proof for it? Bush had the chance to create an Assyrian state that would be an eternal American ally, and instead he destroyed the whole country like a typical neocon. I mean, I wouldn't say eternal American ally. I don't know about that. I don't know. I'd have to defer to the Jewish warrior on that one. Yeah. Has DDHQ called it? No, DDHQ hasn't called it. I don't know why the New York Times called the Senate race. This is retarded that they called it. This race is not over. They could be retracting the call if Gonzalez improves, especially with the very late mail that drops, which I would expect her to. This is not shocking. If you knew anything about Epstein's connections to Israel, they were literally opposition to Netanyahu. Netanyahu has attacked his opponents, set ties to Epstein, LFAO. I oppose him for corruption. Let me ask you a question, Tag. If you could have a corrupt government that saves you and gets everything you want, or a government that's very transparently against you, um, and wishing to destroy you and your people, which one would you choose? What are 3 to 4 big issues that nation have vote Democrat, at least most of the time? Democratic socialists, immigration. I find that they are very opposed to nationalism as a philosophy, and I also don't think that Democrats could run the economy in an at all intelligent way. I disagree with Republican, um, you know, uh, I don't want a gilded age, if that makes sense, but I also don't think Democrats at all understand how to run the economy. Um, so I'd be very, very skeptical of them having any power on economics. So yeah. Uh, so what the transparent government does, if it saves all the citizens, and then it wouldn't be corrupt, then I would sacrifice myself to save the people. Okay, that's not at all what I said. And I said if they were actively destroying your way of life, which if you take as saving all the citizens, which you might because you don't believe in the concept of a nation, um, you know, you think every nation should be a police state um, for the purposes of a nation. Yeah. But yeah, Democrats say they support a legal pathway to citizenship that's saying open borders, and I don't want these people to have any pathway whatsoever. These people have no allegiance to our culture, our ideals, who have no way to properly integrate into this country. I don't want them to have a pathway to citizenship. Better economic times recently are usually when Democrat presidents have a Republican House and Senate. Yeah, I mean, when they're constrained. To be fair, that is because Republicans haven't focused on economics. I think if Republicans were to focus on economics rather than wars with Iraq and Iran, um, or honestly, whatever the fuck Trump was focusing on for the first year of his term, you would see them do much better on economics. The problem is that economics have not been their concern. Actively destroying me, your people, your culture, your way of life, and the dozens of women and the dozens of women and children alongside you, if that makes you feel better. My God, my God, my God. But yeah, I'm not gonna answer that, Grape. I'm not gonna answer that. And I will say, and it can be a hot take, and it can be taken whichever way people would want it to. But I will say that African Americans are ingrained into this country. They have been in this country for a while. They've been a part of this country for a while. So, I do get a lot of people don't like them, but they are still very much American and a part of American culture, and shouldn't be sidelined. Now, Hispanics. Well, I think some thoughts are best left unshared, but African Americans are part of American culture. My great grandfather was in a concentration camp in World War II, but I'm pretty right wing. My grandfather tries to get me to be a lib by saying that the Nazis would have killed you. So what? The Nazis would have killed you. Okay, and the communists would have killed you as well. I mean, we can take ideologies and we can push them towards their extremes like this and be like, well, the Nazis would have killed too. Like most authoritarian governments would have killed most of us. If you're here watching the Colorado primary results rather than working in the fields, you probably would have been killed by both the Nazis and the communists, if we're being honest. That's still no reason to surrender your people, culture, and way of life holistically. So, yeah, some Democrats are really mad at me because I don't support Abdul El-Sayed. They say name an El-Sayed policy disagree with. Medicare for all, yes. Abolish ICE, yes. And fossil fuel, yes. Defund the police, yes. Also, someone with the name Abdul El-Sayed should not be senator of this country. That's a separate question. Blacks vote for infinite immigration or not insignificant amount of pro-murder of innocent white people. Yes, black nationalism is bad. What I will say is that black nationalism should be cracked down upon. Very, very stringently, I guess would be the word. That should be a focus, cracking down on black nationalism. I think that, there are ways to do that. You can suspend the Second Amendment for some of these people. You can suspend freedom of association for these people because they do pose a threat to ordinary American citizenry. And it is life or death when it comes to a lot of these cases. But not all blacks are black nationalists, and a lot of blacks can integrate into American society much better than some other groups, which will remain unnamed. I don't get the ethnic hatred for black people. I get it because it's like a lot of people just hate minorities, which is fine. But I don't get the number one focus should be cracking down on black people. Like a lot of black culture, ghetto culture, is degenerate and wrong and should be forcibly stopped. But I hate black people is not a political philosophy. Somalis are horrible. Somalis are not African Americans, though. So I would put that caveat onto things. Yeah, it looks like Joey Gonzalez is going to keep gaining with whatever vote is remaining out of the state. It's not a great performance for Hickenlooper. He should survive, but race isn't necessarily an issue. It's the culture. The two are inextricably linked, I will say, but yeah, I think all of society is a battle of cultures. If an Arab is genuinely Western, like Christians, speak English and have a job and family, it's fine. Yes, I would say the Christian Lebanese should be. I think you have to be very, very exclusionary with who you sample from, but then once you get a good sample of people, I think that you should. I think immigration is healthy to a state. Should it be skewed towards Europe? Yes. Should it be skewed towards white Europeans? Yes. And I think that's simply because their culture, their customs will integrate better into this country. Someone who has to pray 5 days to Allah, he's not going to be able to integrate as well into this country. It's you don't have to have any hatred towards these people. You can say at Real American. I simply leave and taking my own side. Oh my God, Real American's here? No, he's not. My high school whites are 23% of the population. Yeah, but you should think of 80 years ago for the dangers of any right-wing ideologies. These people are deeply unserious. These people are very, very deeply unserious. Yeah. People above race or nationality and not above nationality. This is what I don't like about this idea, parroted by Vivek Ramaswamy. I wonder why that America is solely made up of ideals. What I don't get is then if we're solely made up of ideals, what's the point of the state? Shouldn't the point of the state be if the state is mainly based on ideals, shouldn't it just be converting as many people to those ideals as possible? There's no other purpose of America as an entity sides to get as many people to believe those exact same things as possible. Like, why are we a separate country? Then, if everything is solely a battle of ideals, that's what I don't get. And it makes me think, the idea of the captive American, in the same way, you can the transgender believes that an egg cracking, where someone might not know they are transgender yet, and must be told to begin their transition. Why don't you have the idea of an American who isn't from America, who doesn't know they're American yet, but believes in the principles of America? Why should our government not go out and seek these people to come to this country, emigrate here? And if that sounds ludicrous, of course it is, but there's no reasonable argument against it if you believe that America is solely based off ideals. You can say ideals are important. I would say ideals are important, but there is a shared culture and heritage. And I don't say heritage in as much as direct bloodlines, but there are shared cultures and customs that go beyond just ideals on how a state should be run. Tell me why nationalism should go above providing people, especially our women and children, safe and affordable life, because we shouldn't provide people of other countries those things, because those countries should be doing that. What we should do is we should provide our people those things, because if we try to provide everyone everything, you can't. So what you should do is you should have a state that cares for its people and provides safe and affordable life for them, but provides it for its people. Doesn't provide it for everyone, doesn't provide it for aliens who do not believe anything that this country agrees with, who should not be members of this country, who should not be subject to the jurisdiction thereof, because they should not be in this country to be subject to the jurisdiction thereof. We should be able to provide people of the country come first. I agree. I believe these states should separate and be their own nation. I don't think so. I think we should have a United States, and I think even if that means reforming the teleology of the United States, I think we should have a United States. American, why we should be against American nationalism? Name me one nationalist movement that provides for its people, other than maybe China, that kind of nationalist and kind of providing. What's the fucking obsession with China? But my movement, if I were president, I would provide for my people. Well, that's the thing. Nationalism has been squashed in the modern day. We are told to fear it. We are told to run as far away from it as possible. So there aren't really any nationalist governments in office. So I can't point you to a government, a type of government that is not allowed to exist. There's a very limited number of people who can assimilate to the country, so we do really need to be careful with that. And some people can assimilate much better. Once again, someone who holds the same customs and culture as this country will assimilate much better than, an Indian. There's this trend on Twitter going around, like hashtag owning the Indians by saying, would you rather have 200,000 illegal Hispanics or 200,000 legal Indians in the country? And everyone votes for the illegal Hispanics amongst right-wing Twitter. But why is that? It's because the Hispanic can more easily integrate into this country, supposedly, than the Indian, which is true. But the European can more easily integrate into this country than the Hispanic. I think that's fair to say. I don't think that should be controversial to say. I think European culture is much closer to American culture than, Brazilian culture, Mexican culture. And yes, some Hispanic areas are very European. I was in Argentina. It was very, very European-like. Reminded me of Italy, which I was very flattered with as an Italian man myself. Descendants of the Roman Empire. They're not as easily able to integrate into this country, so you shouldn't let in as many of them. It's simple, because what happens if you let in as many of them as possible? They don't integrate into this country, so then they try to subvert it. So then they themselves, which are intranationalistic for their own groups, try to further their own interests rather than the interests of the whole, the collective of America at large. Um, they try to further their own interests, and shockingly, we end up losing for it. Um, we we are the ones who bear the negative consequences of it because our culture, our home, is eroded. Um, Atheist communist hellhole is closest to an ideal society, guys, so long as it's not nationalism. I criticize China for its too extreme violation of free speech, but at least unlike America, they protect women and children. They're an atheist communistic hellhole. They put children to work at 6 years old. Who are we kidding? I have a game for you in chat. I say someone, and you and them say if they are a real or fake moderate. Starting off, Joe Manchin. I think he believes what he says. I think he's a real moderate. I think I'll say last calls for any chats. Been streaming for 2 hours. Yeah, DHQ called it for Hickenlooper, and they called it for Phil Weiser. Both of these calls had a long time coming. Yeah. Hickenlooper, his lead is under 90,000. This will narrow a lot, but I don't think Joey Gonzalez has enough to win. Phil Weiser has beat Michael Bennett. Pretty large upset. A generational upset in retrospect, but even the margin it was is an upset from expectations heading into tonight. Where was that from? Damn. Where did those votes come from? I think Denver. Where did those votes come from? Jefferson. It seems like Jefferson dropped a bunch more, and they broke pretty heavily for Gonzalez. Or not that heavily for Gonzalez, but evenly. Venezuela is a Senate seat. He'll be out of the Senate in 2 years. He was not running for re-election at this. Out of the House primaries, Malik Kuros beats Diana DeJet. Expect a call from here whenever Denver County drops more votes. Yeah. Ooh, it does look like Kirk Myers. She's got 8,000 votes on Marks, but that is narrowing. Who knows? There's a lot of vote remaining. We'll have to see. But if she's losing any drops in these urban areas, it's a bad sign. It's a very bad sign. So we'll have to see. But out of Colorado's third, the matchup is set. Jeff Hurd will face off against Dwayne D. Romero. Jeff Hurd beats off a somewhat strong primary challenge in Ron Hanks, and Romero, an Army veteran, wins the primary to take him on. And then I guess the other important one would be the 8th District, where Manny Rutnell, a progressive, will face off against Gabe Evans, who is running for re-election. You said you don't like Brazilian culture. What's your opinion on... I don't know who that is. I'm streaming more consistently. I think so. I think I'm going to try to stream. We're reaching an end for the primaries. We're staring off a little bit into the abyss when it comes to primaries. I'll pull up the schedule before we head out. But new or 2026 state primary dates here. We have Colorado. The next one will be Arizona. About 3 weeks from now. South Dakota as well. Will be a week after that. August 4th will be big. It'll be a longer stream. There'll be a lot more to talk about then. But I think it's gonna be a pause. I might do some streams for the occasional whatever that happens. Discussion streams, question and answer, kind of like this. But there's not really any headline primaries at remain undecided at this point. But anyways, thank you for watching. Uneducated. I don't care who that is. My bad. And also I'm starting a job soon, so we'll see how that impacts things. I think I'll try to do some videos. I don't love the video making, though. I will say I do like the streaming environment. I am waiting for the new month to start so I can do predictions, but the new month starts in about an hour, so we'll see. But anyways, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Like, comment down below your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Godspeed. Testers done out.